So, you want to learn how to increase your pull-ups, eh? Well, you've come to the right place.
So in all seriousness, how to achieve 10 pull-ups, or how I achieve 10 pull-ups, I've written down a list of 7 or 8 points. But if I go through all these points, I'm going to be talking forever, and chances are people have already got a good idea of what these are. So I'll probably just list it out at the end of the video, all these extra points. But I want to talk to 2 main points or realizations I had during my training that allowed me to achieve 10 pull-ups faster. And if I was to do it again, this is the advice I'd give to my younger self. So the first point is your frequency that you're doing pull-ups. When I first started training pull-ups, I was not really focusing on training pull-ups. I was training things like deadlift, squat, bench, other bodybuilding type exercises, and pull-ups was just a small part of my routine. At that time, I might have allocated 4 sets a week to doing pull-ups, and during the first 3 to 6 months of my training, that was enough for me to make progress on pull-ups. So I might have been starting with sets of 3 to 4 pull-ups and doing them once a week for 4 sets. My body naturally responded quite well to only training once a week, but eventually my rate that I progressed slowed down, and I realized that I needed to train pull-ups more frequently. So what I did was I added them onto another one of my training days. So I would have had my back day where I did my pull-ups and lat pull downs and stuff like that, and then I added them onto my push day. So in a week I would have had 2 days where I was training pull-ups, and so effectively I had doubled the amount of pull-ups I was doing in a week. That was a pretty big factor in allowing me to increase my pull-ups. I had gone from doing sets of 5 or 6 consistently to being able to do sets of 7 or 8. So there's a saying, grease the groove. The more frequently you do something, the more your body is going to be programmed to perform that task. So if you can afford the time to do pull-ups minimum 2 times a week, if you can do 3, that's even better. Obviously every day is not really ideal because you do need to allow your body some time to recover and restore those muscle fibers. So yeah, the number one thing is frequency. So the next point I want to talk to that made a pretty significant difference for me was my body weight. During my first 2 years of training, I had gained quite a bit of weight. I think I went from 70 kilos all the way up to 85. And at some point I realized that it was time to lose weight. This wasn't driven by me wanting to be able to do more pull-ups. I just wanted to have a better looking physique. I wanted to look lean. So what I did was I went on a cut for 4 or 5 months, and I went from 85 kilos all the way back down to 72, 73 kilos. And somewhere along the way, I found that I was able to do 10 pull-ups. If you imagine it this way, if you throw on a weight belt and attach 10 kilos to it and you try and do pull-ups, and your normal body weight pull-ups you can do is 7 or 8 reps, with that 10 kilo on you, you'll probably find that you can only do 3 or 4 reps. What happened for me was I essentially unloaded 10 kilos off my body. Because I was lighter, I was naturally able to do more reps of pull-ups. I was building muscle, doing the same amount of reps regularly, but also gaining weight consistently along the way. So my body was adapting to this increase in load. And by the time it came around for me to lose weight, I had built up that muscle from carrying a heavier body. Now I was doing pull-ups with a much lighter frame. So naturally, my reps increased. So I'll just throw onto the screen the other points I was referring to at the start of the video. These are all factors that are pretty important for making good progress, and I definitely wasn't perfect at applying all of these during my journey, but it was and still is a journey, and I've gone through waves of doing everything really well and then sometimes not so well. So if you resonate with my experience at all, or if your experience is something completely different, please drop it down in the comments, and I'd love to read and respond to them where I can.